I'm Claire Hampshire. I'm a Senior Learning and Teaching Fellow in the Faculty of Health, Psychology and Social Care. As well as my teaching role, I have a learning and teaching role, so I support learning and teaching across the faculty with a number of different partners, particularly technology enhanced learning and games-based learning. Games-based learning has a number of different definitions, and I think, just to summarise for me, it's about using games within my teaching to promote learning. So some people call them educational games, but really it's about the use of games to facilitate particularly learning outcomes and particular aims and objectives. Staying the Course is it's a board game with a companion website, and it's also a online game as well. Like all board games, the goal is to be the first to finish, and it sort of follows a pathway around the edge of a board, which is a series of multicoloured squares, 4 colours. The graphics of the game follow the course of an academic year, and they sort of appear in a sequence, and students move around, and as they land on squares, whatever colour they land on, they pick up the corresponding card sets. Most importantly, because the game's about making students aware of university services, in each of the 4 corners there is a service that students really should be aware of. So we have a library section, we have a Moodle online learning area, so student hub section, we've also got the student union advice section, and the 4th section is student support services. So obviously the services students pick up, like financial services and where they can go for help or support with a range of different problems. Basically, the game was constructed from a research project. That research project, not surprisingly, was called Staying the Course, and that was an NHS North West funded project at all the universities where they have students in the North West. And we collected stories and experiences from almost 1,200 different staff, students and student union staff, and then the recurring themes that came out of that we turned into the questions and the sort of the themes that ran through the cards. And so the whole purpose of Staying the Course is to give students an understanding when they start university about what it's like to be here. So it gives them advice and direction towards academic support, social support. For some students we have a card set about placements, and then there's another card set about finance. And then with all good games there is an element of chance. So we have a take a chance set of playing cards, so the students get the idea that even though they may be working hard, random good things and bad things happen to all people, so hopefully it gives them a heads up on that. I developed the game for quite by chance, actually. I'd finished the research project and I was having a meeting with the student union team at MMU. It was about supporting students transition into university and why they leave, and I thought it would be interesting for them, so we had a meeting, and they were very positive, and they said, this is great, it's a great research report, and you'll get some nice papers out of it. But how will you make a difference to students' lives, and what can you use this data for to actually help students on a daily basis? Which I think was a very important question, and so I'll credit Paul Norman for that, the membership officer. and I went away and thought about it, and I realised, I think I've been watching something on TV, and I just thought, these are stories, and stories are hugely important, and stories are about sharing experiences. And I thought one of the best ways to share the student stories was to use them within a game. And so we took the themes that came out of the data analysis. I think ultimately what came out of the research was that students need both social integration and academic integration. And taking those 2 things, we built lots of information within the cards, but games are social. And one thing students said to us, that when they came to university, they don't always like just sitting in a lecture theatre. They don't just want to be somebody who sat listening, and so they love interaction, and so the notion of a game is it's played with students up to about small groups of 6, and whilst they play the games they get to have conversations about what could essentially be quite difficult subjects like financial difficulties or relationship problems or how to sort out when you failed an assessment. One of the things I like is this notion of a magic circle of gameplay. So you're the playing piece, so it's okay because these bad things or these difficult things are happening to the playing piece, not particularly to you. So again, it's nice to have the conversations which can be quite difficult in this sort of safe environment of gameplay. We always play it in the first week of term, and usually, and this year we played it on the first day, so the students had been at university since 9 o'clock, and then so we run the session sort of halfway through the afternoon. I like to try and make the session as comfortable as possible. I do a quick presentation, but ultimately the games are already set up, so they come in and they know they're going to be doing something that's maybe a little bit more interesting than being talked at. So I lay the games out, and I always provide sweets because I always think chocolate's important as well. Two things are important about the game is that at the end of that session, if they've not met anyone else yet, they know that they've sat with 5 people and they know the names of that small group of people, and actually the aim of the session really is for them to understand a little bit more about how the university works, but also hopefully to have had a conversation and introduce themselves, and therefore if they leave knowing that they've chatted to a few people, and some of the questions hopefully are deliberately humorous, and there is uproar and laughter sometimes, and the notion is that if they leave with that, then that's great. It's their first day, and I think that's a hugely important part of trying to develop some social connections on the first day. The other thing we do as well is that because a lot of the question sets actually are around university systems, they actually won't know all the answers. So if anybody comes across a card that they don't understand, is that what we let them do is we set them aside, and then I will go through any questions at the end. So again, you're asking questions, but it's not you asking the question, it will just be me picking up the cards that have been troublesome. So again, they don't have to stand out from the crowd and ask a question which they may feel uncomfortable about asking.
Thank you for watching this Good Practice Exchange film. You can find lots more teaching ideas and resources on our website.